You know that moment when you stop texting first, when you stop overthinking, when you stop trying to prove your worth, and suddenly he starts noticing you again. It's strange, isn't it? How silence speaks louder than words. This is the moment he begins to realize you were never the problem, his comfort was. When you stop chasing, you shift the power dynamic naturally. It sounds simple, but it's one of the most powerful transformations a woman can ever experience. See, the moment you stop running after someone, the moment you stop trying to prove your worth, you begin to reclaim a part of yourself that you didn't even know you gave away. And that shift, that quiet inner shift, changes everything around you. Think about it like this. When you're constantly chasing someone, your energy says, "Why need you to choose me so I can feel enough?" Every text you send first, every time you wait by your phone, every time you replay what you said and wonder if you sounded too much, you're teaching the other person how to treat you. You're saying, "If my value depends on your response." But when you stop doing that, when you take a deep breath and decide, "No, I'm done proving myself," the entire dynamic flips. Suddenly, your energy says, "I choose myself," and that is magnetic. Imagine you're holding a balloon by a string. You keep holding tighter, afraid it'll fly away. But the more you hold, the more anxious you become, the more it starts to slip through your fingers. Then one day, you simply let go. You don't chase it, you don't cry, you just watch it drift away peacefully. That's what happens when you stop chasing someone who doesn't value your effort. Your peace returns. And ironically, that's when they notice the silence. That's when they turn around and realize the person they took for granted is no longer available to feed their ego. People feel your energy even when you don't speak. When you chase, it feels desperate. When you pause, it feels powerful. Because now you're not moving from a place of need, you're moving from a place of choice. And choice is strength. When you stop chasing, you remind yourself that love is not supposed to be begged for, it's supposed to be shared freely by two people who both want to be there. It's just like the sun and the moon. The sun never runs after the moon to prove it can shine. It simply rises when it's time, glows effortlessly, and the world revolves around its light. That's what happens when you stop chasing. You become the sun. People begin to orbit around your energy, not because you demanded it, but because your light speaks for itself. And maybe this has happened to you before. Maybe you stopped calling someone who never called first. At first, it felt strange, uncomfortable, even painful. You checked your phone, hoping they'd notice. But after a few days, something shifted. Your mind felt lighter. You began sleeping better. You laughed at something small, and for a second, you realized, "I'm okay." That's the moment your power returned. That's the moment you took back control of your story. You see, chasing isn't just about running after someone physically. It's emotional chasing too, explaining yourself over, apologizing, trying to make them understand your heart. But you can't teach someone to value you. They either see your worth or they don't. And when you stop explaining, when you simply walk in peace, the energy changes. Now, they have to come to you, not because you manipulated them, but because they finally feel the weight of your absence. Life works in patterns of balance. The moment you stop forcing, the universe aligns what's meant for you. People come back, opportunities appear, peace flows. When you stop chasing someone, you start attracting everything that belongs to your new level. It's not pride, it's growth. It's the quiet understanding that if someone wanted to be in your life, they'd meet you halfway. So next time you feel that urge to chase, pause, take a breath. Remind yourself that the person who's meant for you will not require you to lose yourself trying to be seen. Your calm is louder than your words. Your stillness has power. That's where your worth begins to echo the loudest. Silence often reveals more than confrontation ever could. Sometimes, the loudest statement you'll ever make is saying nothing at all. You don't always need to argue, explain, or defend yourself. Because when someone truly values you, they don't need paragraphs to understand your pain. They feel it in your quiet. Silence is not weakness, it's emotional intelligence. It's knowing that peace is more valuable than proving a point. Think about how powerful silence can be. Imagine you've been trying to make someone understand your worth. You've talked, cried, begged for clarity. But instead of listening, they keep dismissing you. So one day you just stop, no more calls, no more long texts, no more emotional essays. You simply go silent. At first, they might not notice. They'll think you're playing a game. But as days turn into weeks, the silence starts echoing. That echo becomes uncomfortable. It makes them think. They start replaying the last things you said. They begin to realize the noise is gone, and with it, the comfort they took for granted. Silence makes people meet themselves. It forces them to face their reflection without distractions. It exposes what words try to cover. You see, confrontation often gives people an escape. They can argue back, twist the story, defend their ego. But silence gives them nothing to fight against. It's a mirror, not a battlefield. And that's why it's so powerful. In daily life, you see this everywhere. Maybe at work, someone keeps trying to discredit your effort. You could fight back, but instead, you stay consistent, quiet, and let your results speak. Over time, everyone sees who was real and who was just loud. Or maybe in a relationship, you've been explaining yourself over and over, trying to make them understand your feelings. Then one day, you just stop explaining. You focus on yourself. You start smiling again, living again, glowing again. And suddenly they notice, they ask, "What's wrong?" But deep down, they already know. Silence told the truth you could never put into words. The truth is, silence creates space, and in that space, truth grows. People can't hide from silence. It follows them when they go home, it echoes in their mind, it keeps them awake at night. It whispers everything your voice once tried to scream. When you go silent, you stop trying to convince them, and you start letting them realize on their own. And realization hits harder when no one forces it. There's something magnetic about a person who doesn't chase closure, who doesn't argue to be understood, who just moves differently with calmness. Because that calmness says, "I've made peace with your misunderstanding, and peace, my dear, is louder than any explanation." Sometimes silence is how you teach people how deeply they hurt you. Because when you go quiet, you take away their favorite thing, your attention. Your attention was the validation, the stage, the comfort. When you take it away, they're left with their own noise. And for the first time, they hear what they've done. It's like when you walk into a room full of noise, and suddenly someone turns off the music. For a few seconds, the silence feels awkward, then it feels heavy. Then it starts to reveal what was really going on underneath all that sound. That's what silence does in relationships. It exposes what the noise of constant talking, explaining, and arguing kept hidden. So when you choose silence, it's not about avoiding the problem. It's about rising above it. It's about trusting that truth doesn't need to shout to be heard. Silence is not empty. It's full of answers, full of power, full of dignity. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing you can ever say is nothing at all. Emotional distance forces self-awareness in both people. It's the space that opens your eyes when love starts to blind you. Sometimes you have to step away from someone, not because you hate them, but because you finally understand that clarity lives in silence, not in constant noise. When you pull back emotionally, the fog starts to lift. Suddenly you begin to see what you were too close to notice before. You see how much effort you gave, how much of yourself you poured into someone who didn't meet you halfway. You see where you lost yourself trying to keep the connection alive, and that awareness, it changes everything. When two people are too close, emotions blur logic. You start excusing red flags, mistaking attention for affection, and chaos for passion. But when you step back, even just a little, you see things differently. You begin to ask questions like, was I really happy? Or was I just afraid to be alone? Or was this love? Or was it attachment? Emotional distance gives you those answers. It doesn't lie to you. It doesn't sugarcoat the truth. It just holds up a mirror and lets you see things as they are. And here's the beautiful part. It's not just you who grows in that distance. They do too. When you stop being available all the time, when you stop responding instantly, when your energy shifts from chasing to choosing yourself, they start to feel it. At first, they may not understand it. They'll think you're just being cold or distant. But over time, they'll feel the difference in the way your absence changes their days. They start noticing how quiet things feel without your laughter, how empty their phone looks without your name lighting it up. They realize the comfort they had with you wasn't guaranteed. Emotional distance teaches them that people don't stay when they're taken for granted. Think of it like the space between two dancers. When you're too close, you step on each other's feet, your rhythm breaks. But when you give each other space, you find your balance again, and the dance becomes beautiful. Emotional distance works the same way. It teaches rhythm, awareness, respect. It reminds both people that love isn't about clinging, it's about choosing each other freely. Daily life proves this truth again and again. Maybe you stopped checking on someone who never checked on you, and for a while, they didn't notice. But as days went by, they started missing that small good morning text, that random check-in, that comforting presence you used to give so naturally. Your absence becomes their wake-up call, and in that silence, they start to see what they never valued enough when it was right in front of them. And for you, emotional distance becomes healing. It's where you remember who you were before you started bending yourself to fit into someone else's world. It's the space where you find your voice again, your peace again, your boundaries again. You stop needing validation and start realizing your energy is sacred. And that realization doesn't make you harder, it makes you wiser. You start moving differently, softer but stronger, quieter but more powerful. Distance makes you think. It makes you reflect on your patterns, your triggers, your emotional habits. You begin to understand that love without balance becomes dependency. Care without boundaries becomes exhaustion. Emotional distance is the bridge between confusion and clarity. It's where you stop blaming them and start understanding yourself. So many people fear distance because they think it means loss. But in reality, distance often creates depth. It brings two people face to face with truth. Either they grow from it and come back stronger, or they realize they were never truly aligned. Either way, clarity wins, because the purpose of emotional distance isn't to end things, it's to understand them. It's not punishment, it's perspective. It's the calm space where two hearts can finally see themselves clearly. Your peace and self-focus are what truly make you magnetic. It's something people don't talk about enough. The quiet, calm energy of someone who's no longer fighting for attention, no longer chasing validation, no longer begging to be seen. There's something deeply attractive about a person who's simply at peace with who they are. When you stop trying to prove your worth, the world starts to notice your worth on its own. It's strange but true. Peace has a presence. It's not loud, it's not desperate, it doesn't need to announce itself. It just glows. You know when you meet someone who walks into a room and instantly shifts the energy. They're not the loudest, not the flashiest, but something about them feels grounded, calm, certain. That's the power of peace. It's not about being emotionless, it's about being centered. It's knowing that no matter what's happening around you, you're not losing yourself to it. It's the kind of confidence that doesn't need noise to be felt. Self-focus doesn't mean selfishness. It means you've learned to pour into yourself first, to water your own garden instead of begging others to bring you rain. When you start focusing on yourself, your goals, your healing, your growth, something shifts inside you. Suddenly you don't have time to chase people who drain you. You're too busy chasing your potential, and that energy, that self-contained confidence, draws everything you once chased back to you naturally. Think about this in real life. Maybe there was a time when you used to text someone constantly, trying to keep the connection alive. You'd stay up late, waiting for a reply, your mood rising and falling based on how they treated you. But one day, something in you changed. You stopped waiting. You put your phone down, started reading, working out, learning something new, taking care of yourself. You stopped trying to be interesting to them and started being interested in your own life. And suddenly, they texted you again, not because of magic, but because energy shifted. People feel it when you pull your power back home. Peace makes you glow differently. It clears your face, softens your tone, strengthens your presence. It's like your soul starts to breathe again. And when people see that, they can't ignore it, because peace is rare. Most people are running from themselves, drowning in noise, chasing something outside of them. But when you sit comfortably in your stillness, you stand out without trying. Self-focus is how you rebuild your identity after being drained. It's waking up early to stretch, to pray, to breathe, to think. It's cutting off the conversations that leave you empty. It's no longer explaining your boundaries, just living by them. It's choosing your peace over your pride. And when you live like that, you become magnetic because peace attracts what chaos repels. People are drawn to calm energy because deep down, everyone is tired. Tired of confusion, tired of drama, tired of pretending. When they see someone who's not chasing, who's not competing, who's simply existing in alignment, it feels like a breath of fresh air. Your peace becomes a mirror that shows them what they're missing. So when you focus on yourself, you don't lose people, you lose distractions. You stop begging for love that's inconsistent and start attracting love that matches your frequency. You become more selective, more intentional, more graceful. And that grace is what makes you unforgettable. Your peace and self-focus say, I'm not here to be chosen, I'm here to choose. They say, I'm not waiting for anyone to complete me, I'm already whole. And when that energy starts radiating from you, people feel it. They might not understand it, but they'll be drawn to it because peace, real peace, is the rarest form of beauty in a world that's constantly loud. Love should never require you to lose yourself trying to keep someone else. It's one of those truths that most people learn the hard way. You give and you give until you're empty, until you look in the mirror and realize the person staring back at you isn't who you used to be. You were once full of light, laughter, and dreams. But somewhere along the line, you started shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's comfort zone. You started silencing your voice so theirs could be louder. You started ignoring your needs because you were too focused on keeping them happy. And that's when love stops being love. That's when it becomes survival. The truth is, love was never meant to break you. It was never meant to drain you or make you feel small. Real love expands you. It makes you grow. It feels like freedom, not fear. But too often, people confuse attachment with love. They think that sacrificing themselves completely is proof of loyalty. They think staying, no matter how much it hurts, is strength. But that's not strength. That's self-abandonment. Imagine a candle burning at both ends, desperately trying to give light to everyone else, but slowly melting away in the process. That's what it feels like when you keep trying to keep someone who doesn't want to be kept. You become the fire that keeps them warm, but forget that you're burning yourself in the process. And one day, there's nothing left but wax and ashes. In daily life, you see this pattern everywhere. A woman staying in a relationship where her voice no longer matters because she believes her love can fix everything. A man working himself to exhaustion to impress someone who barely appreciates him. A friend who keeps showing up for people who never show up back. And they all say the same thing, I just don't want to lose them. But they don't realize they're already losing themselves while trying to hold on. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't build a future with someone who only wants to take pieces of your present. Love is supposed to feel like two people holding hands and walking together, not one person dragging the other while losing their balance. When love becomes one-sided, it stops being a connection and starts being a cage. There's something powerful about remembering who you were before you started dimming your light. Before you started apologizing for being too much or loving too deeply. Before you started settling for half effort just to avoid being alone, you were whole before them. You were enough before they noticed you. And that truth doesn't disappear just because someone fails to see it. Sometimes you have to step back and ask yourself, am I loving them or am I slowly disappearing for them? Because real love never asks you to disappear. It doesn't demand that you silence your voice, sacrifice your joy, or abandon your purpose. It supports you, uplifts you, and makes you feel seen without asking you to shrink. Love that costs your peace isn't love, it's dependency dressed in emotion. Love that silences your truth isn't love, it's control disguised as care. And love that only survives when you're the one doing all the work isn't love, it's exhaustion wearing a pretty mask. You are not meant to be half of yourself in the name of connection. You are meant to be whole, standing beside someone who respects that wholeness. Love should never feel like a battlefield where you lose your identity to win someone's attention. It should feel like coming home to yourself, not running away from who you are. So when love starts asking for your peace, your dreams, your confidence, that's when you pause. That's when you remember that love is not about how much of yourself you can lose to keep them close, but how much of yourself you can still keep while standing beside them. And then there comes a day when you finally understand that peace is not found in being chosen by someone else, but in choosing yourself without hesitation. You start to see that all those moments you thought were losses were actually lessons shaping you into the person you were always meant to be. You stop begging for closure because you realize closure isn't something they give, it's something you create. You stop waiting for the apology that will never come because forgiveness isn't for them, it's for your own soul to breathe again. You realize that sometimes silence is strength, distance is protection, and walking away is the loudest form of self-respect. You stop running after people who can't see your value, and you start walking toward the life that's waiting for you. You learn that love doesn't have to be chased, begged for, or performed for. Love that's real will always meet you halfway. It will never make you feel like you have to fight to be seen. There's a beauty in starting over, not because you lost something, but because you found yourself. You learn to stand tall in your solitude, to smile without pretending, to glow without trying. Your energy changes. You stop reacting to every bit of noise around you. Instead, you respond only to what brings peace. People start noticing. They wonder why you're so calm, so unbothered, so radiant. But the truth is, you've finally learned the secret that peace is power. And when you protect your peace, you protect your purpose. Someone once said, when you learn to value yourself, you stop discounting your worth for temporary attention. That hits deep because attention fades, but respect remains. Validation fades, but self-worth stays. When you finally realize this, you stop chasing what was never meant to stay and start attracting everything that belongs to your growth. You start building a life that feels good on the inside, not just one that looks good on the outside. You see, the version of you that used to beg, overthink, and settle is gone. What stands now is someone wiser, softer, but stronger. Someone who knows that peace is louder than chaos and calm is stronger than control. You're not cold, you're clear. You're not distant, you're healing. You're not done, you're just beginning again, this time with awareness. Every ending that broke you was just a doorway to something higher. Every silence that hurt you was preparing you to hear your own voice again. Every distance that confused you was teaching you how to stand alone. And maybe, just maybe, you needed to lose them to find the real you. Because the truth is, you never needed to chase anyone. You just needed to remember who you were when you stopped. So walk into the next chapter of your life with your head high and your heart steady. Don't rush to fill the silence. Let it guide you. Don't rush to prove your worth. Let your energy speak for you. The right people will feel it. The right people will understand it. The wrong ones will fall away. And that's not rejection, that's redirection. The storm you went through didn't break you, it built you. The heartbreak didn't destroy you, it redirected you. The silence didn't isolate you, it refined you. And now, you are no longer the person who begs to be seen. You are the person who shines quietly, confidently, effortlessly. Your peace is your power, your self-worth is your crown, and your boundaries are your throne. Remember this: when you stop chasing, life starts meeting you halfway. When you stop seeking validation, the world starts respecting your energy. When you stop running after love, love starts finding you. Because the moment you choose yourself, everything else begins to fall beautifully into place.